Pocahontas is 30. Highland up there, that urgent care is probably 10, 20 miles.
Yeah, probably.
Walnut Ridge is probably 30 miles.
So here from the hot hills of Whipple, Holler, it's Mr. and Mrs. Brown.
You act like you're fixing to start a baseball game or something. We're going to have a wrestling match.
I'm too tired. I'm telling you. It was 120 degrees today in the shade, I think.
Heat index is way up there, over 105, I think. It's hot.
Anybody's got to work out in this heat, I feel sorry for you. I do. I mean, it's just been something. It's not just in our area either. I mean, a lot of y'all suffering from the heat, too. I seen where even Pennsylvania was in the 90s in some places.
Somebody commented that it's so hot in Arizona that the cactus was dying.
Yeah.
That ain't funny.
No, it's not. Yeah. Yeah, it was a... I can't remember if it was a comment or something on my Facebook page, but yeah.
I almost think it was on a comment.
On a comment. They said, it's so hot in Arizona, the cactus was dying. I thought that was funny. But it is hot, y'all. And I don't know why I complain. It's hot every summer. I think as the older we get, we just can't stay out in it as much as we used to. We get out early and then we try to go out late and we still come in and we're just...
Get out early, then go to work.
And come in and, you know.
Wait till almost dark and try to do something.
Yeah. And we do have another project going on. You know, Miss Laurie tries to keep a project going all the time. So I'm not going to tell you yet or even show it to you till it's all done. And I'll show it to you and we'll talk about it because it's going to be really neat and I'm excited about it.
It's going to be done in a few days.
Yeah, but I got to get everything
arranged, I know.
Everything done, which take me a while. School's fixing to start back up in, 2 weeks? I got something in my eyeball.
Next Monday, yeah, 2 weeks.
It starts the 14th.
I know.
So, yeah, we got to get
2
ready
weeks
for
from
that.
Monday.
So all them lovely little children will be coming back riding them hot buses, them poor bus drivers, and driving them hot buses.
You know, when I run for governor.
When you run for governor?
When I run for governor of the state of Arkansas, I'm gonna start school like we used to did when I was growing up, after Labor Day.
After Labor Day.
In September.
Yes.
And then the kids can get off and go do the fall harvest.
There you go.
Probably won't be nobody doing that.
I think we're making the camera shake. Are we making y'all shake? I got y'all on the table with us, so it's going to make you shake a little bit. But anyways, we're back with our question and answers. And I know some of these questions are going to kind of seem funny to some people, but to the people that ask it, it's not funny because they're just, you know, I told y'all just ask me any question y'all need to know, and we'll try to answer them the best that we can. And we left off the last one. I'm pretty sure it was this one. It says, what is something good in your life you know God did for you? And of course, every day. He's done something for us every day. God is good. He loves us.
We give him all the credit, all the glory.
So what I'm going to do is I wrote all the questions down, and there's even still more coming in. So I'm starting from am I talking with my hands again?
Yeah. I'm probably making table shake.
I'm starting from the very last question and going backwards with it. So, somebody asked me, said, Miss Laurie, I don't think I answered this one, why are my red bell peppers not turning red? Now, I'm just going to give you my experience. And I know some of y'all out there will probably tell her something different. It does take a while. It does take a while because they're going to be green, and then it takes them a while to go and turn into their red color. Now, I have grown what I thought was going to be red bell peppers, and they never turned. Is it the soil, you think?
Don't start me fibbing about peppers.
Well, anybody...
I know we grow some of the prettiest peppers in the fall.
Yes, that's true. Anybody that can answer that better than Miss Laurie, y'all answer it in the comments below and help this lady.
The biggest thing is we eat them whether they're red, green, or purple, right?
Well, they've heard me say that my favorite is red bell peppers. And I grew some. I've got some growing out back right now, and they didn't get very big. In fact, I used one on one of my videos. But it did eventually turn red. But it didn't get real big, but it did turn red. I was patient with it. Okay, the next question.
Before I forget, anybody needing zucchini?
Yeah, anybody needing zucchini out there? Yep. It says, how long was I a lunch lady? Well, I started cooking in the kitchen at Oak Ridge Central School. I wasn't cooking in the kitchen. I was a sub. Every once in a while they'd call me to sub in there.
You drove a bus?
And then when they hired me full time at Sloan Hendricks School at Imboden, so I have been in the school system going on 27 years. And I'll tell y'all a little secret. When my son turned 5 years old and started school, I wasn't working full-time anywhere at that point. And so that I could be with him, I was a little bit protective. I did go in and help. Back then you had what they called room mothers. And I was up there about every day. And I helped like an aide or a sub would do now, and I didn't get paid for it. So really and truly, I've been in the school system longer than that. But I've been a substitute teacher. I was an aide, a bus driver, a sub in the kitchen.
Concession stand, entrepreneur.
I even, at one point, coached a Pee Wee girl team. I didn't do that very long. But anyways, and I even done custodial. Hey, you're making that thing bounce. But I even done custodial work too. I'm not too good to...
I just think we're having an earthquake.
I'm not too good to scrub a toilet.
I can't keep my hand off the table.
I know. I should have put it on the tripod. But anyways, in the kitchen, I'm just going to average it out as being full-time in a kitchen was probably about... Let's see, probably about 17 years in the kitchen full time. I don't know, something like that.
Well, I've been there 15 years. You were there several years before that.
Right.
I'm going to say more like 24 years.
No, I'm talking about full time in the kitchen though, because there was.
You were part time. You were.
Yeah. So, anyways,
you got 27 years in the system.
Yeah. So, anyways, Danny's, how long have you had in the school system?
15.
15.
Starting my 16th year.
He drove a truck before that. How many years?
Well, as an owner-operator, I did about 17 years.
He is a jack of all trades.
And master of none.
So, he even worked on the towboats, and
Heavy construction equipment.
he worked for the county. Of course, we had the store business up at Dalton. Some of y'all have went to the Mennonite store at Dalton. Me and Mr. Brown used to run that. My family had it before we did, and it's a very, very old store. And
there's seen pictures of it back when it was just a dirt road in there.
yeah, it had a post office in it too.
Grist mill.
Dalton's a pretty neat place. Of course, if you shut your eyes when you go through that, you'll miss it.
You'll miss it.
It's got a beautiful river on it, 11 Point River. We was raised on it. Okay, the next question says, why do we call ourselves Whipple Holler? And I'm going to let you answer that one.
Why do we call ourselves? Well, because we live in some people, I guess you were in the big mountains, you wouldn't call it a holler, but here as a hillbilly, we call them hollers. And whippoorwills are plentiful on this hill in the spring. And we had another name or two, but we decided to call it Whippoorwill Holler. Well, you have to cross a holler to get, there's hills and hollers all over the place, but besides that, it's a neat name.
Well, when you when you go outside at night, certain times of the year.
Well, I'm still, believe it or not, at times I'm still hearing
the whippoorwills.
As a matter of fact, the other night there was one right here close to the shop.
Yeah, and you can hear. Of course, we live right on the side of a holler. They probably want to know what a holler is. What's a holler?
Deep. I don't know. It wouldn't have to be deep, but a ravine.
And
where down through the hills where your drainage would be out of the mountain.
Well, if y'all's been with us a while and seen a lot of our videos, if you haven't, go back and look. We had a big pond dug, and where you see that big pond is where the holler is, and that's the reason we dug it down there, because we knew a lot of water would go to it. And to get to our house, you have to go down a hill, through the holler, and up a hill. So, Whippoorwill Holler is just, Danny really liked the name, and it was different. We don't call ourselves Whippoorwill Holler Homestead, even though we are a homestead. I don't know why we
short and sweet.
I don't know why we didn't put homestead on the end of that, but we just didn't. We also had another name picked out, and y'all probably like this too, and it was called Settler's Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that off of a picture that we had seen, and we really liked it. Settler's Ridge, but Whippoorwill Holler just... And I love it when I hear other channels say something about us or something, talk about us or, And it's a tongue twister sometime.
You remember Adele, before she passed in Australia, she had to work on saying that.
Whippoorwill Holler.
And another lady that we watch.
There's so many, I don't remember. But it can be a tongue twister sometime, but, it's different, and y'all know when you hear them whippoorwills, how pretty that whippoorwill.
Lonesome Call of Whippoorwill. Hank Williams Sr. had a song about that, didn't he? I'll have to sing it one of these days, won't I?
Yeah. Y'all haven't ever heard Mr. Brown sing, so y'all need to comment and say, Mr. Brown, sing for us.
I'll get my guitar out. And my banjo.
No. No, y'all, he really does. The people in church like to hear him sing. He sings bass. Next question. And I think we pretty much answered this when we was talking about when we sold the cabin on the river and had to move to town for 3 years before we bought this place. It says, have we always lived in a less rural situation?
A less or more rural?
Have we? Maybe they're asking if we've ever lived in a less rural situation.
No, less rural.
So, them 3 years that after we sold the big farm, moved to the cabin on the river, then we moved to a house just outside of town, which is...
It was actually in a subdivision.
Yes, for 3 years.
We had 9 acres there.
And it was, y'all, it was a nice home and nice people around us.
Peaceful
It
place.
really was, but it wasn't us.
It wasn't us.
And people...
But we needed a place to stay a while.
Friends and family are like, this is not y'all. But it was a nice place for us to stay till we found this place. So, yes, we have. And me, I grew up till I was 13.
We still weren't in city limits.
No. Till I was 13, lived in Pasadena, Texas. That's why I have this southern drawl that's sometimes messed up, my accent.
Hillbilly in southern Texas.
But I lived in a house just side by side by side by side. So, yes, I've had that experience. And, of course, I didn't know any different, so... But since I was 4 years old, I'd come up here to Arkansas to my grandparents' farm, and I loved the country. I loved just the peacefulness and just anything about it. I loved it. Okay. Now, this is one that we could probably go on and on and on about. Somebody asked, Miss Laurie, what are the skills a person needs for a successful homestead?
Hard work is one of the skills.
It's one of the main skills, isn't it? You got to be ready to work.
You got to be willing to put out the effort. You've got to...
Because there's nothing easy about it.
Not give up, because...
No. A lot of people give up because it's just too much sometimes.
Now, you can't... A lot of people think you can just... Land has gotten completely out of hand. A lot of people think you can just live off the land, as the land. We talked about that before. Live off the, just get on the land. And I ain't saying you can't do it, but somehow or another you're going to have to be able to pay for insurance, even if you don't have electricity. You're probably going to have an automobile, and we could do without some things, but it would be tough. Most people have another job.
Yeah. There's nowadays,
You got to pay, it's...
Yeah, at least one person's got to work off the
usually.
homestead. Unless you're, because...
if you're able to do like some people and sell a big home and move out there and have everything paid for. But if you're not familiar with what it takes to live off the land, then you could get hungry. So,
well, even at that, you still got stuff you got to pay for.
You're going to have some, if nothing more than just flour, because normally you're not going to go out there and be able to grow enough wheat by hand. You ain't saying you couldn't, but not likely.
To have a successful homestead, like he said, you got to be able to know that you're fixing to start working very hard. You need to learn a lot of skills. You got to have a lot of skills. Even if you're going into it without these skills, there's so many ways that you can learn them. A lot of them is on YouTube. A lot of it is research. A lot of it is hands-on. If you know somebody that's already homesteading that can teach you these skills. But YouTube is a very good source of learning this stuff. Never be deceived that you can buy 5 acres or 10 or 20, get 10 goats, 2 pigs, 13 chickens, and you're going to be just fine. You're just going to be able to homestead and not work, and everything's going to be hunky-dory. It's not that way. You got to have some kind of income, and them few goats and stuff are not going to make your income.
They're going to cost you money is what they're
Now, I'm not saying you can't. There's a lot of people that, live off grid and they don't work. And, If maybe
Most have some source of income.
yeah, you got to have some source of income. That little bitty homestead's not going to make your income, but you just need to know how to prepare to grow a garden. You need that skill. You need to be able to preserve, to know. You need to research to know, okay, I'm building this kind of home. I need this kind of heat. Am I going to use wood, pellets, gas, electricity?
There's a lot to think out and plan out.
Yeah, there
and
is.
you can do it. You can plan out, and it's possible. We've done it all of our life, but we've also worked off the homestead a lot too.
I mean, what
and most everybody does.
The different skills is what they're, I guess, basically want to know, that they need to know.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to know some carpenter skills. You don't have to know all of them.
Right.
How to use a chainsaw.
Right.
How, the gardening, and wouldn't hurt if you were going to live off the land to know how to catch a fish and clean skin a fish, and
to know how to use a gun.
And yes, and
if you're going to be in survival mode, you need to be able to, I think, to be skilled in hunting. It don't necessarily have to be a gun. It could be a bow, archery. There's a lot of that goes on here in Arkansas. We have a lot of kids that do archery. It's a good skill to know.
I do a bunch. I've done a minute.
Yeah, Danny used to hunt deer with bow and arrow.
And that's some of the basics. And you never give up. You just you learn from your mistakes too.
And you learn as you're going.
Yes.
We're still trying to figure out how we're going to maybe someday build some kind of a root cellar. We've never done it. But, we're trying to figure out the best way for us, where we're at, and the best way to do it. There's all different kinds of ways. You need to know your land. When we bought this hill right here full of rocks and clay,
we knew what we had.
We knew because we were used to it. We were used to trying to grow.
That's why we have mostly raised beds. So.
Yeah. You need to know. You need to know your land. You need to know your land, and like he said, be able to fish and hunt and garden and have some kind of carpentry skills, and know that you're probably going to have a well dug. Know that if you're going to build a home.
A lot of people catch water. That's one way.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't want to have to depend on that if I didn't have to, but wells are very expensive. Around here, you're looking anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 to drill a well around here. So.
And there's a lot of different survival skills that you can learn just doing your research.
But my biggest, I would say, start off slow, and you're not going to learn everything at once, and just start practicing and doing things, and you sure need to know how to cook.
Yeah, that's one of them.
And preserve.
Different ways. You need different skills, figure out different ways that you can cook, because, for instance, there's lots of times where we live that you won't have electricity for different reasons. That's why we have the wood cook stove. We also have a shed outside that we can do cooking out there. We can cook over open fire. So you need all these different skills to survive, and learn. If you can't get access to water, what would be something I can do to make sure that I can get access to water, and just all the different things that will make you sustainable and keep your family going. Just do a lot of research. Hands-on, that's the best thing.
Preferably researching the area you're going to be.
Yes, because it's different everywhere.
Yes, growing seasons are different. Mm-hmm. And winters are different. And it's a joyful life if you decide to do it.
I mean, it is.
I'm not telling anybody they can't do it.
No.
I just think more than likely, you're going to have somebody's going to have some kind of a little bit of income. And there are different ways to have income, but they're just.
Yeah, and I mean,
you know, it's just.
Some people will do, you know, they'll sell vegetables and stuff, but you have to realize that when you're doing something like that, you got to have quite a bit of land, and you got to put a lot of money into high tunnels and all this stuff.
And it's not guaranteed.
It's not a guaranteed money situation either. So.
It usually takes a combination of things.
Yeah. And you can eventually get to the point. I mean, we have people that raise big cattle farms around here, and they still have a spouse that works off the ranch because it's just not possible. How do we deal with animal loss? Some of y'all have been asking about our hogs because they're not little baby pigs anymore. And y'all that have watched our recent videos with, you know, the birth of our little Cooney Coons, and they grew up, and, you know, that's one of the skills, too, of homesteading is knowing how to raise your own meat, besides hunting and fishing, raising pork, if you raise sheep, goat, cows, whatever. That's a skill that you need to learn for sure. We didn't raise the Cooney Coons for pets. We raised them for meat. So at this point right now, they are at the processors, and
we sold several of them.
And we sold some of them. That's not a pet loss, but you do get attached to them. I mean, even if they're kind of squirrely acting, you get attached to them. But no. So we don't have any dogs, and we haven't had any dogs since the kids left home because we're not home enough to love and take care of a dog. So we're not going to do that until maybe we're so old we can't do nothing. We just need a lap dog. I don't know. But it's not that we don't like dogs. We've always had dogs.
I've had hounds.
Hunting dogs.
Hunting dogs, mostly. And a few cattle dogs and stuff. But
let's see. I'm trying to think. We've had dogs that passed away that really hurt our feelings because they were part of our family. The kids grew up with them. Now, I can tell you the hardest one, and Mr. Brown's talked about this before in a video. We had a horse. His name was Big Boy. At one point, I think he was called Cowboy, wasn't he?
That was his paper name.
Yeah. And he grew up with the kids, and you couldn't ask for a better horse. And we had him right up till he just started going downhill.
And he probably wasn't going to make it through the winter.
No, and you can't let an animal suffer like that. And it was hard. It was hard, but we had to put him down. And it was hard.
I think he was 27, but 27-year-old, I think.
We had, at one point in our life, we raised registered Longhorn. And at one point, we raised non-registered. But we did raise registered Longhorn, and they were beautiful. And I wish I had pictures to show y'all. And I do. They're just somewhere in a box in a storage building. And one of these days, maybe in the wintertime, I'll try to dig through them and see if I can find some. But we did. They were registered Longhorn cattle. They were beautiful. We had a bull that come out of
Wheatland, Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Owen McGill Ranch.
Owen McGill Ranch. He was a high dollar bull, and he was pretty. And
his daddy was a super high dollar bull.
What was his daddy's name?
Spur. No, I mean Roundup.
Roundup. Our bull's name was Spur. His name was Spur.
Yeah, he was a chuck wagon, which was out of the Roundup blood, and we had daughters of Roundup also.
I'm going to have to do something about that camera. It just keeps... Quit doing that. You're going to drive them crazy.
Well, it's driving me crazy. We should put it on something else.
Yeah. But we had these registered Longhorns. And we had a pen just right outside of our farmhouse where sometimes we would take and put him up in there, and then we'd let him back out in the main pasture when it was time for him to be out there with the cows. And one day he was out there with another younger bull that we had, and we were having to go to town, and he was just a jumping and a bucking, wasn't he?
He was bulling at cattle in another pasture and raking his horn. He
yeah,
felt good. He's feeling bad. Good.
But we went ahead and left.
Because we went and bought a camera.
Yeah, and when we got back, we drove up in the driveway, and I looked to my left, and there was a barn there, a little barn that Danny had built that had a side shed. And Spur was underneath that shed, and I could see one side of his long horn sticking up like this, and I thought, that's unusual. And I got to looking, and I said, Danny, I think he's dead.
He was.
And he was. And let me tell you something, I cried. Did you cry?
I don't think so.
I did. I thought, I mean, not only was he expensive, we didn't have insurance on him, but...
well, I had big plans with that bull.
Yeah. And to this day, we don't know what happened to him. We don't know if he had a heart attack.
Don't know.
Don't know.
Don't look like nothing, happened to him.
We researched it. Danny did, and I think somebody had wrote that it's not uncommon for a bull that age to.
Well, he wasn't that old. He probably just like anybody, anything. He just laid down, had a heart attack, I guess.
Yeah, and I would like for you to share this story with them about when you had to bury him and how the cattle acted. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Well,
I had to drag him across the pasture.
I mean, if you think that animals don't know what's going on, I mean, sometimes when things like this happens, it makes you wonder.
They were upset, I can tell you that. They were following and bellowing, and they was upset. They knew it wasn't right.
And then when you took him up there to the burial, to where you and your brother buried him, the mama cows stood around there.
Yeah, they come to the funeral.
I mean, it's just like they knew. They knew.
If you've never been around Longhorns, they're a very unique breed of cattle.
Yeah, they are, really. They really are. And that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work with them Longhorns. Okay, let's see. So how do we deal with animal loss? Do we have date nights? No.
Not really.
By 8 o'clock, we're too tired. So if we
we do go out.
When we go out, we go early.
But it's usually an afternoon supper.
Yeah. And then we come on home.
You know why? Because we can avoid the crowds.
Yeah. We don't. Yeah, we do. We take time for each other. We go do stuff. But our favorite thing to do is, we don't eat out a lot, but if we're out and about and need to grab a bite, we do. But we like to take a day and drive around, maybe go to flea markets. That's our date nights, I guess, because that's just what we enjoy doing. We don't go to movies or go out to fancy restaurants and used to in our younger days, we'd get together with friends and stuff, and our kids would play together and stuff, but it just seems like people don't do that anymore. But so anymore, by 8 o'clock, we're almost snoring, aren't we? Seems like.
Well, you are.
Do we ever have disagreements?
You're shaking the table.
Emma? Sorry. Do we have disagreements?
Sure, we have disagreements. We do, but not very often. Sometimes we can agree to disagree, can't we?
Yeah. I'm pretty hard-headed. Can y'all imagine that? Miss Laurie's a little bit hard-headed.
A little bit. I'm not, though.
Oh, Danny's not at all. Do I start seeds inside or outside? I do both. In fact, I'm fixing to start planting some greens and stuff for this fall. We still got peas coming out of our ears, our red ripper peas or cow peas, whatever you want to call them. Our squash and zucchini is done.
Pretty much.
And I'm going to tell you why. For one thing, it's so hot. And trying to keep everything watered is just, you're just running yourself to death. But
squash bugs.
The squash bugs this year, and
every year.
I don't care how many marigolds we plant around them here. For some reason, our area, it's just hard. And squash bugs love the heat and when it's dry. So, anyways, I plant seeds inside my greenhouse. And I also plant, and I even start some here in the house. And I start some outside too. So I do both. So we do love to keep chickens. We do love raising chickens. We've both been around them all of our life. I think chickens is one of the most important things you can have on a homestead.
I would think so. Because you can... it really doesn't take, I probably feed my chickens too much. It really doesn't take an extra amount of feed if they're able to get out and roam. If they're not, then it might take a little more feed. But and of course the wintertime it does. But now, ever since I was a kid, I mean, I've had chickens. And I was the one that always had the chickens when I was growing up. I'm the one that always took care of them. I'm the one that found chickens to get. I'm just chicken.
You're the one that got the eggs and...
Always. I always had ducks and chickens. And
we haven't bought any more ducks since something got off our ducks. I mean, I love ducks, and I'd love to have some more, but maybe sometime.
If that pond ever gets where it's really whole and stay full.
Yeah,
they got low and they couldn't get away from the predators.
But when we had them up here and they stayed at the house before we even had the pond dug, we did put them up at night, didn't we? They would go in with the chickens, so...
We actually had them out here in a different pen for a while.
Yeah, we sure did. And we'd let them out, didn't we? And they'd play and get in the water, and then we'd put them back up at night, yeah.
We'd run water out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love ducks. I'd love to have some more. But to me, chickens are probably one of the most sustainable animal you can have.
If you're going to do it for egg production, research your chickens, because some chickens don't lay, X amount of eggs a year. A lot of them quit laying in the winter. But you can research your chickens and you can get some eggs year round. You may not get as many, but you can get eggs year round.
And right now, like tonight, Danny got 2 eggs, and it's just because it's so hot right now.
It's hot, and I had a couple to go through a molt, and then
because ours have always laid good, yeah.
They're getting older too.
Yeah, next year we're going to have to bring some new ones in.
I need to be getting some right now, getting ready for next spring.
Getting ready, yeah. Yes. And besides that,
I rotate them out about every 3rd year.
And besides that, there are breeds that you can have for egg and meat.
Yes.
Which that's why I'm saying they're probably one of your best sustainable animal, because they're just going to keep you fed one way or another if you eat them for the meat or if you eat them for the eggs, either one. And I just love chickens, watching them roam around the yard and
They
getting
like
ticks.
garden scraps too.
They sure do. I do love chickens, that's for sure. Let's see, where are we at? Keeping chickens. Does my family love to cook? Yes. Most of all, we like to eat. My kids, yeah, they like to cook. My grandkids are still young. They like to help you in the kitchen, though. But my main family, his main family, everybody loves to cook, and everybody's such a good cook.
Mm-hmm.
So, good cooks on both sides.
Both our girls good cooks.
Yes. Mr. Brown, are you going to have time to do more Bible study?
I'm hoping so. I plan on it.
You know, he's going to be retiring in December, and I'm
hoping to do, more. I don't know how much yet, but I plan on it.
Somebody asked where we live, it's pretty, how far is a hospital? A big hospital and then a smaller one from where we're at, because we're so rural.
It'd be 60 miles to some of the biggest. That would be Jonesboro. 30 miles to Pocahontas. And then we have back west, we have a urgent care. Probably 20 miles roughly. Maybe a little closer, maybe 18, 20 miles.
So we do have a couple.
Imboden, where we work, they do have a small doctor's office, and we do have a pharmacy there. That's only 10 miles away, but to see a doctor. But our doctor is in Pocahontas, which is about 30 miles.
So it ain't too bad. I mean, we're used to it, I guess. Somebody asked me, because they know that I make a lot of homemade vinegars, fruit vinegars, and how often do I use them? Really and truly, I use them mainly to make like salad dressings and stuff like that. I might use them in some kind of recipe, but you can't use these fruit vinegars in your canning or anything like that, because the acidity is not high enough. Your acidity in canning needs to be 5% or more. Anything under that, you don't need to be using it. So I never use my homemade vinegars. Now, they do make test strips, and you can get them at Amazon, different places, to test your pH. And I don't ever do that anymore. Now, I used to bring some from work and test some of my homemade, and they just never would test 5%. So I don't use them for stuff like that. But mainly my fruit vinegars, I make salad dressings out of them, and they're just so good. Taste really good.
And some of your homemade vinegar, do you not use to clean with also?
Yes, I do. The lemon. It says, where is a good place to retire in Arkansas? Well, if y'all want to come close to us and retire and be our friends, we do have a retirement place, and it's called Cherokee Village. It used to be a big retirement place. And it's just 20 minutes from us right here. If you're retiring and wanting to be closer to hospitals and stuff like that,
depends on whether you want to be in a city or in the hills.
Right. There's so many beautiful places.
Cherokee Village and all that. Ozark Acres, all that stuff is...
Now, you can go up towards Yellville, Mountain Home, Mountain View, Berryville, and all up in there. And it's beautiful mountains, and a lot of people love living up there, so...
You can be, a lot of places in Arkansas, you can be pretty rural and still be, 5 to 10 miles from town. So.
Mm-hmm. Arkansas is just a good place. If we could travel, where would we go? Where's the one place you want to go the most?
Well, that's a tough one. I've been everywhere.
Trucking, he's been that John. Who is it? Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
You've
I've
been everywhere,
man.
I'll tell you mine.
I know yours.
What is it?
Probably Maine.
No.
No.
If you could get me in an airplane, the one place I want to go is Ireland.
Ireland.
I want to go to Ireland. I don't know. Maybe my ancestors were from there. I don't know. I do want to go see Edward and see. But y'all, I'm just gonna tell y'all. I don't know if I've talked about it, but Miss Laurie's afraid of heights, and I'm very claustrophobic, and the list could go on and on. So you would have to knock me out and put me on a plane, and it causes me not to be able to travel like I want to. If you knock me out and I woke up on a plane, they would be taking the plane down and getting me off because I would be berserk. I mean, I don't know what it is or why anymore, but I'm very claustrophobic.
I'd kind of like to go to Australia on the mountains of Australia.
Well, I didn't know that.
I'll never go.
You might.
No.
I'd let you go as long as you come back. But you'd have to fly there, and I can't go with you.
Yeah, it'd be some real traveling.
Yeah. The number one place I'd want to go would be Ireland. So I think it's beautiful from what I see. I love watching the Travel Channel and watching even places like Switzerland, and I don't know. There's just so many beautiful places. But I'll probably never see it personally.
Well, you haven't even been out west. We're going to have to start somewhere.
I know, I got to start somewhere because I ain't been anywhere. What is it between the land and hard work and being faithful servants of God? So I think this question is that, what is it that being faithful servants of God and being in hard work and being stewards of the land, I mean, that is something that we're very strong with. Number one is our faith. Number two would be good stewards of the land, and probably no.
Well, the good Lord provides. This land's His. It ain't ours.
Number two would be servants. Yeah. It all comes hand in hand. That's for sure.
Well, if you want a peace of mind in life, God needs to be in it.
Always.
Because you're going to be looking, and you're not going to find what you're looking for. Because money can't buy it.
No.
So, I don't know, it seems like it all, like you say, it all goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
If you willing to put out the effort, and the good Lord, He's willing to provide, and that brings you closer to Him, so.
It's for sure. Every day when we get up, we lay our heads down. This is a canning question. I think I kind of answered that one already. It says, do you have to use lemon juice when you're canning tomatoes? What it does, when you're using lemon juice when you're canning tomatoes, it ensures the right amount of acidity that you need to properly water bath your tomatoes. Because the pH less than
4.6%.
or yeah. So I always,
or lower.
If you want to be really sure about it, get you some of them test strips, pH test strips. But I've never, yeah. I mean, I've always used lemon juice. Just just to be on the safe side. It says, when storing in buckets, how do you keep track of expiration dates? Do you use stuff past expiration dates? Well, you got to go in and you've got to use that stuff for sure. And you've got to go through it. And a lot of people keep they write it down so they can go back and look. Almost
And say, this is what's in this bucket. And a lot of times you write on the bucket.
Yes, I write on top of the bucket what's in there. But they're talking about expiration date.
Most things in them buckets
you
don't expire real easy.
No. And you can do an inventory on it, just like we do at work. Just have you a book on paper or anything, just make an inventory when you're putting that stuff up or in a bucket, write it down, the expiration date. But
for us, most of the things that are in a bucket are like flour, grain, sugar, things like that as long as you keep weevils and all that stuff out of it, it'll be there for a long time.
And you're not probably going to go past expiration date if you're using your pantry, because you're going in there and you're pulling from the back up front and you're using that. And when you replenish you're going to put that stuff in the back, but you're going to keep pulling it forward. If you're eating out of that pantry and you're using that pantry, more than likely stuff is not going to expire.
And it says, do we occasionally use stuff that's past the expiration date? And it'd be yes, we do occasionally. It depends on what it is and what it's packed in.
And a lot of canned stuff that you buy from the store, because there's enough preservatives in them, can go past the expiration date. And we do keep some things that come from the store because they do last longer. And if you're
just for emergencies,
if you're putting stuff back for long term, yes. And I'm not saying
and there's certain things that expires that I don't plan on eating it.
No. But yeah. Just do yourself an inventory sheet. It's the best thing to do. And eat out of your pantry. If you shouldn't have anything.
Keep rotating it.
Yeah. Excuse me. Somebody's wanting you to do a tour of the old truck for them, so we need to do that one day. My throat's getting dry. My family is from Sulphur Springs, Texas. And I was born in Greensville, Texas.
I was born between Pocahontas and Ravenden Springs, Arkansas. 10 miles either way. The small town.
And your family are originally from?
Ravenden Springs.
Ravenden Springs,
Originally, most of my family come out of Tennessee. Originally.
There's a lot of people that'll say, I know so-and-so, they're Brown. Are you related to him? Or my maiden name was Brown. We're probably related. Really and truly, you're not really related to hardly any Brown in this area.
No. I mean, some, but they're a real close family, but a lot of Browns, no.
I am going to be doing... Y'all, it's 10 o'clock at night, so it's telling us to go to bed.
It's going to chime for a while.
Yeah. You can tell, because Mr. Brown's getting tired. I can tell he's getting sleepy.
I'm not that sleepy. I'm just tired.
He's tired. He's getting quiet. Hot day. He's getting quiet, yes. Okay.
I keep forgetting that. Just shaking this table. That's what I keep forgetting.
I know. Okay, the cooking for two. Yes, I'm going to be doing more cooking for two, y'all. I am. And I love cooking for two because there's a lot less waste for us. I think we've answered retirement and traveling, did we? The first time. Yes, we want to travel, and...
That hadn't been answered.
Oh, no. How did I miss that one? You want to read it?
Do we enjoy our small cabin? What would we do different?
Now, don't say nothing, because I ain't showed them yet.
I would recommend, if you can afford it. We always built what we could afford at the time. So that's what you got to do. Build what you don't go beyond your means of affordability, no matter what you build. And we planned this out for, my goodness. We've drawed and redrawed, and we want a smaller place as we get older to not have as much upkeep. So, but one thing that I would have done different, if at the time I could have, and I might have, but I would have added a small bedroom, a guest room. That's what I'd have done. Possibly a half bath.
But then it wouldn't have been a small cabin.
It'd still be pretty small. Because it's still under 1,000 square. It's growing, but.
Well, it's still, to a lot of people in the way they live, it's still a small cabin. But we love it. And
Well, I mean, it's 40 porches and all. It was 24 wide and 40 foot long.
yeah.
Porches included, so you take 16 foot off the porches. But
If y'all have ever seen, especially, it was a big thing in Texas, some of the older houses, and they called them shotgun houses. And maybe in some other states y'all had them too. But you walk in the front door, it's room, 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 room. It wasn't all chalked up and you had rooms on the side and everything. It was called a shotgun house. And that's kind of what this reminds me of. But,
and the question is, do we enjoy it?
yes.
And my answer is, I love it.
Yeah, he does. And I do too. We
do.
did close in the front porch. And we've always loved a big front porch, but we closed it in, made a sunroom out of it, and we spent a lot more time out there now than we did when it was a front porch, because there's certain times of the year that you can't sit out there.
Well, most of the year, really, in a lot of ways. I mean, you could sit out there. I mean, I go out there and sit outside at times, but it's...
I've got here, it's asking about our family history, and we may have to come back on that one, because I'd have to do some more studying on that, on the family history part, because mainly because I don't know a lot about my family history. We're going to turn over here. It's asking if there's any stories told about our family that happened that is so funny.
I had a funny one this week.
Oh my goodness. That was just yesterday.
Day before yesterday.
Was it day before? Yeah, it was. You're right. You gonna tell it?
It was painful. It wasn't very funny.
It is now. You laugh about it too.
So I'm out. I'll just tell this story for now. So I'm out weed eating, and it's almost dark. Somebody's been wanting me to weed eat around her building out there.
My greenhouse.
Your greenhouse. So I'm out there, and it's like I say, it's 8:30 at night. So I'm going around the garden, and there's some water there that we use that I shouldn't be laying out there, but it is. And I weeded around that water, and I kicked that water, rolled it over, and I was weeding. Now it's pretty dark, and I got into a yellow jacket's nest, underground hornet, I want to call them. They're tough to not be very big. And I got stung twice on the elbow. I got stung twice on the chest, and once up here on top of my bald head. But that's not even the funny part. The funny part is I left the weed eater running, and I come to the front porch steps, to the sunroom, the front steps. And I'm standing there thinking that they're not, I'm not hearing them. They're not still after me. It's going to be, So I come in, and you're in the shower, I think. Anyway, I go in there, and I'm going to look at my wounds. Well, while I'm in there, there was 3 yellow jackets that come in this house with me. I don't know if they were on me and my bibs. I don't know for sure, but they ended up in the house. Now, and I'm in that bathroom, and they're in that bathroom, and they're diving at me, and that's when I get stung on the head, and then I get stung again on the chest while I'm in the bathroom. I killed 3 of them while I was in there. And you think that's funny. I mean, I never dreamed that I was going to have yellow jackets in the house with me still trying to sting me, but that's what happened. And I've been stung a lot by honeybees, and I've been stung by yellow jackets before, but these here...
They were mad.
They really... that night, even I tried to put, different remedies on them and all that stuff to draw out the poison, but they really hurt me that night. I mean, it just like normally, within a few hours they don't bother you much, but these for a couple of days, and they still itch. But
yeah, I mean,
so I got some yellow jackets I'm gonna have to take care of.
I was in the shower, and when he come in there, he's hollering about these yellow jackets, and one of them is flying above me in the shower. And I thought, he's brought them things in the house with him.
I never dreamed that they were still with me.
Oh, man. I'm just glad you didn't have an allergic reaction to him.
Me too. I never have, but, well, I mean, I got stung 14 times one time by some wasps. But, you never know. From what I understand, you never know that when you could have a reaction to it, so.
True. Somebody's asked me about bread flour. And I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget it. Your bread flour, it has more protein. 12.7% more than all-purpose. All-purpose is... let's see, about 11.7%. And then your pastry and cake flours have around 8 to 10%. So the higher proteins in flour means more gluten. So whole wheat is an exception. More gluten means stronger, stretchier dough, which is critical for a tall, airy loaf of bread. So your bread flour makes the prettiest bread, that's for sure. It has more protein. Did I grow up with my grandparents? Yes, I did. Because I was coming up here to Arkansas when I was about 4 years old. I'd come up here in summertime. So, and then I moved up here permanently when I was 13. And I lived with my grandparents from that point on until I married Mr. Brown. So yes, I did. Danny, he had a good relationship with his grandparents, so they were an influence on him. How many stoves do we have?
I mean, what?
Stoves.
Stoves?
That's what somebody asked. We had
3, we got 2.
You're cracking me up. I know you're getting
Yeah, and you're
tired.
shaking that camera every time you laugh. Because you're putting your arms on there.
I know. And you're cracking me up because you're getting so tired.
Well, I'm tired.
I can tell.
I'm just saying, we had 3. We've got 2. And we actually got 3 because I got a wood stove out there under the shed.
Yeah. We got a wood cook stove in the house, and then I've
got a wood heating stove at the shop.
There you go.
Just sitting there.
And we got our gas stove that everybody loves, my Heartland. Somebody asked me, and it says, do we think that people will ever get past the hate? Not if they don't get God in their life. It'll never get past the hate. If we could get everybody to accept God into their life, that's where love's at.
Absolutely. And I don't get into too deep a thought, but
No.
you got to remember there's always been a rise and fall in every great nation. I mean, high power, when it comes to greed, and then you get people thinking that they know how, that they should be able to tell you what to do and how you should do it and what you can do and can't do. And that's usually that's usually when they fall.
And it's been since the beginning of time.
And they don't have God in their life. And, I mean, Rome was huge. Huge how big Rome was, and they fell. So we're praying that this nation don't fall that far. But it could. It could.
I'm going to let you answer this one. And I know that we need to do a video on this. And it's so hard because, when you get busy with life and you're out in your garden, you just have to get with it. But they're asking about the best way to plant seed potatoes in zone 7B and 8A. I think we're in 7B.
We are? To plant what? Sweet potatoes?
No, seed potatoes.
Oh, seed potatoes.
I guess you can tell them how you done it this time, but the best way you have found, because you grow...
Well, for years and years, old-timers in this country would plant potatoes in February. They would cover them pretty deep. Probably, Dad talked like they used to cover them 8 to 10 inches deep. Now then, that would be in February. But he also told me that sometime in March they would dig down, and when the green was starting to try to grow, they would come back and knock the tops of that off, knock some of that dirt off of it. I usually don't plant mine but about 6 inches, maybe 8 sometimes, but I usually don't plant mine until I try to do it the first week of March. Now, my train of thought over all these years is things are only going to grow when the temperature gets right in the ground. Of course, you got to have moisture, but when the ground temperature starts getting right, then things will start to grow. Now then, your potatoes will, because as your spring comes, your sun gets higher, so your ground starts getting warmer. So they will start sprouting and putting out, but I usually do mine the first week of March. And I planted them. We had some old sawdust this time, very old sawdust, and it still wasn't completely broke down. But that and I covered them with straw and all that stuff, and
compost.
I had some compost, and the worms come in there working it alive, and I had one of the best potato crops I've had since I've been here. And
I think it was due to all that worm poop.
All that fertilized.
All that good worm fertilized.
They done good. And the soil. Now, a potato's not going to grow good if it's in compacted soil. It has to be able to grow and push that soil. If you in this country here, it can happen easy. The soil, it don't take much to get it compact, and it just sticks together, and it gets hard like a rock, and your potatoes won't do as good. So you don't want, try to have too much of a loose soil, but you need a medium soil that they can expand and grow in.
Mm-hmm.
You get it too loose and the wind will blow them over. But that's not drastic neither, because a lot of times they'll lay on the ground and keep it growing.
I've seen people grow them. They didn't get a big harvest, but I've seen them grow.
Well, they grow them all kinds of ways.
I know.
Some people just cover them in straw.
Mm-hmm.
But
you had some nice potatoes this year, that's for sure.
I've always grew good potatoes, but I had a really good crop.
I think a lot of people had a good year
I
this
believe they
year.
did.
The way they talk. Somebody's asking what source of backup do we have if electricity goes out. I'm gonna let you answer that, but I just want to say this. If electricity goes out, we're going to be just fine, except for the fact of stuff that we have in the freezer. But I'll let you talk about the generator for that. But even at that, that's not going to last long, is it?
Well,
but we're set up to be off grid. We're set up for that, no problem, except for
the deep freeze.
Deep freeze.
And that would be a problem, and probably for most anybody. Now then, short term, I do have a generator. Matter of fact, I think toss around the idea of about having one that kicks on automatically whenever the power goes out.
Yeah, we need to think about that.
Now then, cost effective? No, they're not. Because I found out one time we had a bad ice storm. We were without electricity for 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. The whole country was. It was a bad, bad ice storm. And running a generator is not cheap. You'll find out that electricity is a lot cheaper than pouring gas in a generator. Now then, the weather was cool. We kept a lot of our refrigerator stuff because we could only, at the time that was happening, we could only pull so much power with the generator we had. We could only run so many things.
Yeah, it was below 40 outside.
And we had just put beef and pork in the freezer, and that's one thing I wanted to do. And it would run our well, where we could pump water out of it. And we had like one light on at night, but generator had to be running the light to work. So what we try to do I just run it so many hours a day. I'd run it some in the morning, some in the afternoon, just to keep things froze. Now, if things really happened and things really went bad, we're going to have to go back to salt curing meat, smoking meat.
I'd be canning a bunch of meat.
And I would try to keep that generator going long enough. If things were really going to go south, then we would be canning. And if it was, be on the gas stove. If the gas run out, then we'd be in the wood stove. And we're not going to run out of wood with a wood stove for a long time.
No, as long as we're alive.
I've even got hand saws. I'd hate to have to go back and start cutting wood with a hand saw. But I've got saws. I could cut wood, at least to stay warm.
I would try to help you as much as I could, but I'm telling you, I'm getting about worthless.
I'm pretty fond of a chainsaw. But if things went we hope they never do. But deep freeze is the toughest.
Yeah, that'd be the only one because we're set up for being off grid for just to live a comfortable life. We're set up. I can pretty much do anything except for I'd have to start canning meat. And
you go to your refrigerator, you ain't gonna have no. You don't have no refrigerator, so your milk and all that stuff you like and so dependent on sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why we have powdered milk. But would it be easy? No, but we are set up. We are set up to do probably, the best we could possibly do. We are set up for that.
Yeah, and we lived on the big farm. There was times that he'd be gone, and it would be really, really cold. I mean, to us, 32 and below is very, very cold to us. And me and the kids, electricity would go out and he'd be gone. But I could put stuff in a cooler and put it out on the back porch and everything would stay frozen as long as it didn't get above a certain temperature.
That's what we did when we had that big ice storm. We put stuff in the coolers and set them out on the porch.
If worst come to worst, you'll be able to make it. You just won't have...
You'd have to do that without some luxuries.
Yeah, you would.
The luxuries
That's
that you
for
keep.
sure. But you can do it.
Canned food would be... Food that you've preserved would be very important.
Are we set up for cast iron cooking? We sure are, and I'm telling you, I can't wait to start doing that stuff. Me and Danny want to start doing that so bad, and right now we just don't have the time, but we want to. That's why retirement's looking so good to us, because there's so many things we want to share with y'all.
I really don't want to do it this time of year.
No, you don't want to stand over that fire when it's 120 degrees, huh? No. But if we had to, we would. We'd go out and I
would like to do some chuck wagon cooking contests.
Yes, we really want to do that too when we retire. That's something that we want. That's on our bucket list. So.
Or at least, they have cook-offs with.
Any of y'all that live in the different, even here in Arkansas, if y'all know in these states that there is such a thing that goes on every year, maybe I'd rather do it in the fall.
I know there's one in Tennessee in October.
Yeah.
That's a chuck wagon.
We would love to do something like that. We love cooking outside in our big Dutch ovens.
Because we don't have a chuck wagon right now.
No. So if you got a chuck wagon for sale, a good one.
You better watch out. Because they're out there.
Yes. Oh, Kent Ron, you think he'd sell us his?
I don't think he would.
You don't think so?
He'd probably tell us where we get one.
I'm sure he could. I'd like to cook with him, wouldn't you?
I'd like to watch you cook with him.
You'd like to watch me cook with him. Kent, if you're watching, come to Arkansas. I'll even come to Texas. Where is he at?
Oklahoma.
I've never been to Oklahoma.
It ain't very far.
No, it's just that way.
It ain't very far.
I'd go see him if he'd let me cook with him. He could teach me a few things, because I love to cook outside and my Dutch ovens and stuff over fire and stuff.
And I'm pretty sure it's Oklahoma. I don't think I'm dreaming.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a lot of people that watch him that probably know exactly where he lives.
I don't know. That's in Oklahoma, though. But see, Arkansas joins Oklahoma. It's not very far.
That's true. And I keep yawning. Y'all, it's almost 10:30. I don't even know how long we've been doing this.
Too long.
But there's more questions.
Shaky camera and all.
Just pretend that we've been in a small earthquake every once in a while. Y'all, we do live on the New Madrid Fault. Is that what it's called?
It's not 100 miles away, roughly.
Yes.
Maybe a little further.
I've had people ask me how come we don't have things on my pantry shelves in case we have an earthquake, and that is something we need to. We've
not
never
a bad idea.
No, anymore. And every once in a while you'll feel a little tremor.
We do occasionally have a tremor.
Yes, and we need to think.
And the Epic Center's been within not very many miles several times.
Yes. Anyways, I know there's a lot more questions.
New Madrid Fault line is over close to the Mississippi River and the edge of Missouri, and we're not too far from it.
I am going to start doing some more canning. I need to can some chicken up. I love to can, and I've got several videos. If y'all, this question is asked all the time, and I wish I could physically show y'all that just can't find it. And that's where my recipes and my information is. And I know if you're watching me or watching us on your phone, on your computer, you'll have to downsize your video size. I mean, if you're watching us on full screen, you'll have to downsize it to where you can see our video and then the title of the video underneath it.
Just above the comment section.
Just above the comment section. And when you look under there, you'll see the word more. And you click on that. And when you click on that, our information will come down like this. And that's where my information is, and my recipes, and my store, and just all kinds of information's right down there. Now, I've been told, I've never been on an iPad, so I don't know, but I've been told that if you're watching us on an iPad or a tablet,
my tablet just says show more.
Okay. Well, maybe it's an iPad. That it won't be underneath. It'll be at the side. I'm thinking right. But look for the word more or show more and click on that.
What's it say on your phone?
More.
It does.
Yeah. And that's where it's at. Now.
It'll be in between the comments, normally, in between the comments and the
title of the video.
The title of the video, number of subscribers,
Yes.
and all that stuff. It's right in between there.
I'm also having people saying they're not getting my notifications. That it just happens that you see our videos come up, and go back to our YouTube homepage, Whipple Holler, and sometimes you even have to resubscribe, but make sure that the bell, click on that black bell, so that you're getting for all of the notifications because we will always have at least one video a week. You know, if there's not too much going on, I try to get 2 in. And I would rather get 2 videos a week at least, but sometimes it just don't happen. We're barely getting this one in, but it's just that time of year, and things are really busy, and we got this project going on that I can't wait to show y'all. And there was something else I was going to tell them.
When are we not busy?
Well, it's just we got a lot going on.
Always.
I know. I tell them that all the time. They're like, "Are y'all ever going to slow down?"
Well, you just say, "When are y'all sure about that?"
They're going to start thinking we're fibbing. What is something else? No, what is something else? Oh, we were in Texas. We got to stay on Lake Fork. Y'all seen that in our last question and answer video.
We were in a house on Lake Fork.
We didn't talk about it much that night, but yes, we were in a house on the lake. We was with. I went down there to see my family and my cousin Julie. It was her birthday. I ain't gonna mention her age.
She don't care.
Yes, she does. She might not want to. But anyways, she had a big birthday.
My goodness, she don't care.
She don't care. But anyway, she had a big birthday party. And
that's probably 100 people there, wasn't there?
There was a lot of people there. And we had a good time. Some of our kids got to go.
We stayed 6 nights, didn't we?
Our friend Debbie from Texas got to stay with us. And we spent some time with her.
Oh, and she brung. Remember what she brung?
Oh, man. My mouth waters every time I think about it.
She brung a smoked brisket. And let me tell you something. The gentleman that fixed that brisket, he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. He's a Texas brisket. It was so good.
We ate on that thing for 3 or 4 days, didn't we?
I could eat on it 3 or 4 more days right now. It was so good. She brought us a homemade chocolate cake that I've got the recipe for, that I'm going to do that recipe on a video. And my cousin Julie, she's more like my mama. She was raised with my mama, and we love her very much. And all my cousins down there. But, and happy birthday, Debbie.
And your half-sister.
And my sister, Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie, if you're watching. And it was so good to see her. I don't get to see her
We've seen so
enough.
many people we ain't got to see in a while.
Yes. So, anyways.
We had a really good time. I did some fishing, and we caught catfish off the dock, and I caught a few bass, and it was extremely hot. But,
It was so hot.
Regardless, we really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, we got kindly behind since we were gone. We got kind of behind on stuff. So, we had to kind of get caught up. And then we got this thing going on and trying to keep it going and keeping things cleaned up, trying to keep everything watered because of the heat. I watered everything out front the day before yesterday, and today it was all wilted again. Did you notice that?
Yeah, the air is really hot.
It
dry.
is. But anyways,
we got to get off here.
what do we do?
This video is long.
They like it.
It is long.
It is. They like it though. So we'll be back probably with one more video as soon as we can, answering some more questions. If you got some more questions and if I see the comment, I will write it down if we haven't answered something. Mr. Brown and I, if you've just been with us for a while, we want to thank y'all so much for coming to our channel and subscribing and watching us.
We're still growing a little at a time.
We are growing, and it's all because of y'all. Some people, and this is a question, they're thinking that when they hit that like button that it's not working. It is working, y'all, and that's what's going to keep us going. Hit that like button. What it is we've got it private. We can see it, and YouTube can see it. It's just part of our privacy a little bit, and please hit that like button. Like I said, it's what'll keep us going. So always know that we see your like, and but we appreciate all y'all so much, and our new subscribers. Thank you so much, and we'll be back with y'all in a few days. I've got a lot to share with y'all.
A lot to share.
Mr. Brown.
We've been doing it for a few years now, so.
I got to put Mr. Brown to bed. He's tired, y'all. He's got to get up early.
Do I look that tired?
No, I can tell because you're getting quiet. I always know when he's getting tired.
Well, you know.
But he likes being with y'all too. So anyways, we're going to say goodbye and tell y'all what is today? Thursday? So this will be coming up. I'll probably upload this Friday afternoon. So I want to tell y'all to have a wonderful, safe weekend. Stay dehydrated, stay cool. Don't try to do too much outside. It's not worth it. You'll have a heat stroke.
You know what you just said?
What?
You didn't say stay hydrated. You said dehydrated.
Oh, dehydrated. Stay dehydrated, please.
You're thinking about dehydrated.
Stay dehydrated, please.
I can't believe I even caught that.
Stay hydrated, y'all. You know what I meant.
Y'all be sure and stay dehydrated and hydrated.
Don't do that. You'll fall out.
We're staying dehydrated. There's a lot of people staying, burning up.
It's too late. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Anyways, we love you guys. God
we
bless
love you.
everybody.
We'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
So long.
Bye, y'all. Oh, gosh. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
I gotta watch it. I ain't telling what I say. I can't believe that we've been on this thing for an hour.